Well, finding somebody good to work with is hard, and then figuring out how to maintain those relationships for a long time can be even harder, especially when you look in the world of real estate and finance and credit and mortgage. Sometimes the people you choose to work with aren't even in the business for long enough for you to even maybe reach your final goal. However, that is not true of David Murphy, who is the Director of Operations with Credit Insider Club Credit Repair. With over 20 years of experience, Credit Insider Club is Pacific Northwest's leading, most experienced credit repair company and is recognized as one of the most highly respected in the U.S. Welcome back, David. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, well, you're a big baseball fan. It's only fitting, right?
That's right. I've been a baseball fan since 1968.
Is that the year you were born?
No. That was the year the Oakland A's moved from Kansas City to Oakland.
Really?
And Catfish Hunter pitched a perfect game within the first month of the season, and I was hooked.
Wow. Well, certainly it's been a long ride for you ever since the Mariners 2001 team, I suppose.
Well, I didn't make my switch over until 1995, and it was actually at an Oakland A's Seattle Mariners game, and Tino Martinez hit a game-winning 3-run homer off of Dennis Eckersley, and that kind of started it.
Yeah.
And I jumped on the bandwagon and have stayed even through these lean years.
Holding on and praying ever since.
No kidding. Well, when you start thinking about baseball, it's pretty easy to know what's good and what's not. Wins, losses, batting average, there's a ton of numbers in baseball. But the same is kind of true in credit repair. I mean, there's so many numbers that people look at. Last time you were here, we talked about all the different codes and all the different reasons that people don't have perfect credit. But there's a lot of bigger numbers, more like the wins and losses, and that really has to do with this FICO points system. Can you explain that a little deeper?
The biggest problem with the FICO score is that people don't understand it. It is a rating system that goes from 300 or 301 up to 850. Okay? Anything above a 720 is, in quote, a good score. Anything below a 620, and that's the equivalent to the Mendoza line.
Yep. So then you're really, so it's funny that you could have a score at 300 to 850, because even in the mortgages, I've never seen anything in the 300s.
No. The lowest you're usually going to see is maybe the high 400s, and maybe low 500s, and there's problems when you see those type of scores.
But most scores, as I guess would be indicative of kind of this general grading scale, is kind of in that low 600s to mid 700s. That seems to be the average you see.
To be in the 800s, you've got to have all your credit cards paid off, never been late on a mortgage. In fact, being close to having paid for your whole house. Okay, so, and maybe be a trust fund baby. I don't know.
Does that go into a credit score? So then when you talk about being perfect on your mortgage, you talk about making your payments on time. How does everything affect the score?
Well, the biggest effect on a FICO score is the amount you owe on your balances, whether it be credit cards, car, mortgage. You're talking, that represents 30% of the FICO score. Okay? If you're late on a mortgage, you're going to drop your score 80 points. If you do a short sale, it's going to be 100 points or more. And if you do a foreclosure, it can be up to 140 points.
Wow.
So, just a parking ticket downtown Seattle. Alliance One shows up on your credit report, that's a 50-point hit. Okay, whether you pay the $36 or the $48 or whatever it is, that's a 50-point hit. And for all those of you out there who haven't paid your parking tickets, pay them, because once they're paid, we'll be able to get it off the credit report.
Yeah, so that's a big piece of this. Understanding kind of what's on the score, and whether it's the balance or inquiries or lates. It's kind of a smorgasbord of information on a credit report.
It is, and I recommend for everyone to pull up their credit reports every 6 months, whether you have perfect credit or crappy credit. get a copy so you know who reports on you. Half the battle is knowing who reports on you, and you can pay those who report on you on a monthly basis as compared to somebody who doesn't show up on your credit report. AT&T, PSE, Comcast, none of those bills show up on your credit report. So you could potentially be 30 to 45 days late in paying that bill, but it's not going to ding you. But American Express, MasterCard, Visa, you better pay them on time, or it's a 30-day late, which is a 50-point hit.
One of the most important things you brought up before the show was that a lot of people think they know what their credit score is, or maybe they see a score somewhere, but these sometimes aren't exactly what people are looking for. And you talk about a FICO score and not a FICO score, I guess, on the flip side.
And that's the biggest difference here, is that people are not aware that there are different scores out there. And if it doesn't say FICO, it's not a FICO score. So, for instance, I had a client who called today and said, hey, you sent me some scores that were higher than the ones I have off my service. And so I went and I looked in her program, and sure enough, this is what they said. It says, here it is.
You brought a lot of paper.
Although these scores are not used by lenders to evaluate your credit, they are intended to reflect common credit scoring practices and are designed to help you understand your credit. So it is consumer-based. And that is what a Vantage score is. FICO is commercial. You're only going to get a FICO score from mortgage lenders, insurance brokers.
So really, what it comes down to, and we're here with David Murphy, the Director of Operations at Credit Insider Club. We just have a minute left before we have to go to break. But really what it comes down to is not only knowing what's on your report, but even knowing what report you're getting.
Right.
Because that's another one of these things.
The Vantage score goes from 500 to 950. So, I had another client who said he had a foreclosure, yet still had a 714. And when we pulled his FICO score, it was 598. Not 714.
And so really it can kind of trip people up because they think they're in a different graded basket, I guess, than they really are.
This is another way the credit bureaus are making money.
And
that's what it's all about.
And I have heard there may be some crackdown regulation on the credit bureaus.
Well, they have lobbyists, so we'll wait and see about that.
We will. David, thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. David Murphy with Credit Insider Club for credit repair. When we come back, Aubrey Cohen, Seattle PI, is going to join us. We're going to cover some of his articles. And, if your credit score isn't quite there, but you want to buy a house, or if your credit score is there and you want to buy a house, and you're just wondering why you can't seem to find that house you're looking for right now, we're going to talk about it. We'll be right back.